From Daily Trust News Center, this.
On News Hour tonight, President Buhari signs electoral bill into law. Court sentences billionaire kidnapper Evans to life imprisonment. Cleric blames falling moral standards for rise in ritual killings. And on the foreign scene, Ukraine appeals to Turkey to block Russian warships from passing through straits leading to the Black Sea. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Diron Onifade. Good to see you on this platform. Now the news in full. President Muhammadu Buhari has signed the long-awaited Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2022 into law. The president signed the amendment bill into law at 12:25 p.m. at a brief ceremony attended by Senate President Ahmed Lawan and Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila of the House of Representatives, among others. He said the signed document comes with a great deal of improvement as it will engender transparency to the country's electoral process. President Buhari, however, asked the National Assembly to rework one of the provisions that barred political appointees from electoral contests so that it could be in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Nomination of candidates for any election. This provision has introduced qualification and disqualification criteria that alter various the Constitution by way of importing blanket restriction and disqualification to serving political office holders, of which they are constitutionally accorded protection. Arising from the foregoing, with particular regards to the benefits of the bill, industry, time, resources, and energy committed in its passage, I hereby assent to the bill and request the National Assembly to consider immediate amendments that will bring the bill in tune with constitutionality by way of deleting section 84, subsection 12 accordingly.
It took a lot of effort, a lot of work, commitment and dedication by members of the National Assembly and other stakeholders, those in government particularly, and some civil society organizations. I want at this point commend Mr. President for being there to ensure that any challenge as far as the passage of the appropriation for the Electoral Act Amendment Bill was concerned, he ensured that it didn't stop us from going further to reach the end in a conclusive way. Today marked the most important part of this exercise when Mr. President signed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2010 into law.
I believe it's a landmark piece of legislation, and it has far-reaching, and I mean far-reaching implications of the provisions contained therein. I can count offhand at least 10 to 15 provisions in that electoral law that, if properly executed by INEC and the people who the laws are made for, it will be a turning point in the electoral history of Nigeria. And we will witness and not just be mouthing free, fair elections and credible elections, but we'll actually witness free, fair and credible elections moving forward.
House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila. The Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, says Nigerians can now be optimistic of having credible elections with the signing of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill into law. The spokesperson of the coalition, Ugochinyere Kinga, stated this while speaking to journalists in Owerri on Friday in reaction to the signing of the bill into law. According to Ikenga, The law, which provides for electronic accreditation of voters and transmission of election results, will solve previous legal issues that had arisen in that regard and identified provision for early release of funds for elections and conclusion of parties' primaries 6 months before the polls as another milestone achieved by the law. He maintained that with such provisions, the days are gone when a candidate would do everything to be declared winner by all means by electoral officials because the umpire is not permitted to reverse itself. In the meantime, Chairman Transition Monitoring Group, Awa Rafsanjani, said the lawmakers need to rework Section 84 of the Electoral Amendment Act that has just been signed into law. He spoke to Trust TV earlier from Lagos via phone call.
One of the ways in which we will ensure fairness in the electoral system is to ensure that those who are holding political offices did not continue to use public taxes money and did not use security offenses to advantage themselves. Like we've seen in the past, when there's an election coming and existing political office holders, they used to voluntarily resign and leave their position to contest the election. But unfortunately, that has changed, and therefore some people who are holding political offices, usually keep their offices, use government resources to come and ambush and elbow other contestants. So this new Electoral Act amendment is advocated to ensure that if you are a serving political office holder, you do not use your position to advantage yourself. We have seen in 1983 when Muhammad Abuja, the former governor of Kano State, wanted to contest the election. He actually stepped aside and contested, as an ordinary person. And during the early days of democracy in Nigeria, when we returned to democracy in 1999, we have seen that those who are serving under the government of Obasanjo, they all resigned and went to contest election. So it is important that we do not allow people to continue to abuse the opportunity they have, while serving in government, because that will be very, very unfair if we continue to allow people who are serving already to contest elections, because usually it doesn't, allow fairness. So I think it is important that we maintain that neutrality and that fairness in the election that we are doing. Otherwise, if people are holding political offices and they are using public taxpayers' money, they are using government privileges against other Nigerians, then obviously it will be difficult to have a free, fair, credible election.
The crisis rocking the All Progressives Congress in Kwara State has gone spiritual, even as members of the state chapter of the party, loyal to Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, asked President Muhammadu Buhari to ensure he hands over to a successor who will unite the party. At a special prayer in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, the APC members, who call themselves APC Loyal, also demand that a level playing ground be provided so that true progressives can emerge as National Working Committee members of the party. The report.
Despite the scorching sun, members of All Progressive Congress loyal to the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, converged at a location in Ilorin to seek divine intervention in resolution of the crisis rocking the party in the state. They said they are still aggrieved about the members' registration exercise in the state, claiming that majority of them were excluded from the exercise. Some stalwarts of the party, including some former governorship aspirants of the party, addressed the party loyalists at the prayer session.
Well, we're here today for a special prayer. We are praying as a group known as APC Loyal in Kwara State, very loyal to APC. But we're here today crying to God for God to save APC in Kwara and indeed APC in Nigeria, because we are in trying times. And as you can see today, all the speakers that came up today, the chairman of our local government, the chairman of our wards, and indeed the leaders of our youth have spoken here today with a common voice, crying to God to save APC and also telling the leadership that the game is up.
APC loyal are the true members of APC in Kwara State. And if APC must make any meaningful impact in Kwara State, then they must look into our pleas. They must look into our matter. And they must do something positive. Having said that, I want to appeal to each and every one of us once again. And I want to tell us that by the grace of God, we will have cause to laugh at the end of the day.
Meanwhile, in another location, political stakeholders made up of political office holders and party leaders in the All Progressive Congress in the Ifeolodun local government area of Kwara State have expressed their support for second-term bid of Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak. Speaking with journalists after a stakeholders meeting in Ilorin, the convener of the meeting and the senior special assistant to the governor on community intervention, Kayode Oyinzube, said the people had unanimously endorsed the governor based on his development activities recorded so far in the area.
This program is designed to bring together all APC members, particularly critical stakeholders in the federal local government area of Kwara State. We have, before now, had series of meetings which our sole aim has been to galvanize support for the governor, the current term, and to also support him for the next term. This one is the last in the series, because the one that we'll do later is more or less a jamboree where we'll bring everybody together, celebrate, eat, and dine together in the local government secretariat. But today we are bringing together our voices to say that we want the man to continue. He has done so much for us in the local government.
Ahead of 2023 elections, political activities are gaining momentum and people are watching to know how the internal crisis within the APC in the state will be resolved.
And away from politics, a Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja, presided over by Justice Hakeem Oshodi, has declared Chukwudimeme Onwamadike alias Evans and two others guilty of kidnapping. And Justice Oshodi on Friday found Evans and the two others guilty of kidnapping the managing director of Maiden Pharmaceuticals Limited, Donatus Dunu, on February 14th, 2017, and collecting 223,000 euros as ransom from his family. 5 persons were arraigned along with Evans, but the court found only 3 of them guilty. They are Evans, one Amadi, and Okuchukwu Wachukwu. The alarming rise in cultism, ritual killings, fraudulent schemes, and get-rich-quick syndrome among young ones, especially students, in the past few months has been attributed to moral decadence and falling standards of family values. In this interview with Trust TV's Nafisa Abdullah, a clergyman, Imam Nuru Khalid, identified moral decay among the youths and failure of institutions has been responsible.
The society is facing a decline in moral values, especially among the youth. One of such is the rise in cases of acts of ritualism, fraudulent practices tailored towards a get-rich-quick scheme. Muhammad Nuru Khalid, a clergyman, attributes this to institutional failure within the family, educational system, and the entertainment industry.
Institutional collapse. All our institutions are gradually collapsing, especially family institutions and educational institutions. When the family is no more working, children will not be brought up in a proper way, in a moral standards. There will be an absence of ethical values in their mind. And that will now lead to whatever they see outside, they will quickly be adapted to it.
On the decadence of moral values in the society today, the millennials are said to perpetuate these acts more.
It shows that there is a moral decay in our country. Parents have really forgotten their responsibilities. And responsibility in terms of taking care of it. A parent have the right to take off, provide shelter, food, and education. But when the parent fail all this in this aspect, you see the children going to become rich by all means.
It's not as if the youth much are very interested in it. But the reasons why most persons get involved in something like this is because most of them are graduates. After going to school, they feel so discouraged. They see older people driving Lamborghinis and much more. But I know I'm not trying to promote it anyways. But the reasons why they are doing it is because they want to get these things in their early age. And that is the reason why most of them want to cut the process by getting involved in most of these things. If the government should look at it anyways by trying to see how they can produce more jobs, more companies and much more.
It is the rest of the failure of the parents of training their children in terms of teaching them morals. And at the same time, I would say it's also the lack of virtue of patience, because everybody wants to make it in life. And make it in life, they don't want to wait at the appropriate time, or they don't want to venture into maybe doing the right thing, going the right process of getting what they want to get, but indulging into things that are not moral, things that are not good.
The current youth of nowadays are very lazy. They are looking for a short way to wealth. They don't want to work. They don't want to do hard work. Just like in the past, we need to work, do things, apply yourself, everything. What about those that go for a servant? They spend 7 to 8, 9 years and they got settled. They started struggling and they make it. It's first of all, in Bible it says there's something there's a 1 Corinthians 15:33. It talks about bad association. I think that is the major cause of it. Bad association, too much of courtesan and a lot of things, prostitution. The president said it before. People don't understand the message. The message is the youth are lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to suffer. They want the short way to success, which there's no short way to success.
The family institution is considered to be the first learning ground of a child's development, and as such has a responsibility to shape the moral upbringing of an individual in order to incorporate morally upright persons into the society. Nafisa Abdul-Al, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Director General of a National Film and Video Censors Board, Adebayo Thomas, says there is no film celebrating negativity and moral decadence with the board's approval. Thomas made this known to journalists in Abuja at a 2-day roundtable with the theme Curricular Content for Film. According to him, the board ensures critical assessment of films collected for censorship, especially any area where there is justice and punishment for moral decadence before approving.
Where there is no justice, where there is no punishment for moral decadence and every other things like that, we collect it for censorship, but we never approve it. So most of the films you see, not even all the films, since 2017, I can confidently tell you that no film passed through us that celebrates negativity or moral or cultural decadence. We don't. This leads us into the parental care. From childhood, morals and culture are the functions of parents. From that concept, a child grows up before the government takes over in building. The way you lay your foundation is the way it grows. So we are appealing as well to the parent and guidance to look into the kind of films that their children take on or watch on a daily basis.
What film people, theater people, writers, artists, what they do is that they take from society and they give back to society. So all the kind of things that you see in films, they are the same things happening in our society. What we need to do is to organize our society in such a way that there will not be ritual killings. Why are there ritual killings? Everybody is looking for money. So government needs to do something different, actually, to curb the idea of looking for money by all means.
Society is growing, and if we must remain relevant in society of today, we need to free our mind, we need to open our space. So we are trying to unbundle the theater arts program, which has been theater arts, BA theater arts all through. There are other areas of creativity that are so important to our growth and development today. So if we unbundle the program and we have a faculty of creative arts, it will give us an elbow room to navigate where we'll bring in other allied courses that need specific attention. Things like fashion and modeling. There are things other countries are making, things like carnival, other countries are making huge foreign results from that. So we need to unbundle the program to give us an elbow room within which to navigate in today's Nigeria. That's why we are thinking of opening the theater arts program up into different areas that will attract specific attention for the growth and development of.
The House of Representatives has deliberated on a bill aimed at taking punitive measures against workers in the banking sector who indulge in fraudulent activities. The proposed legislation, sponsored by Representative Francis Waive, is titled A Bill for an Act to Amend the Bank Employees ETC Declaration of Assets Act, CAP Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for related matters. Under the proposed legislation, those found guilty could be jailed for a term from 10 to 20 years in addition to forfeiture of assets. The report.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, represented by the House Leader, Alhassan Adodogwa, implored stakeholders to work together with the committee to strengthen legislation to boost the banking sector.
Technology change, culture change, the law also changed to ensure that our system does not become susceptible to the machinations of bad actors. So our purpose here is to work together as legislators and major stakeholders in this subsector to consider this and strengthen legislations that are helpful tool in ensuring that operators in the banking system act with utmost integrity, taking care to avoid every appearance of corruption or backhand dealing.
Officials from the EFCC, Code of Conduct Bureau, the CBN and the NLC made presentations during the public hearing in support of the amendment, but it was not without some adjustments to some sections of the bill.
This proposed amendment bill is seeking to substitute that word appropriate authority with the central bank. Honourable members, I find this proposal, in my opinion, justiciable and justifiable, since by the provisions of the Central Bank Act, it is the central bank that exercises regulatory control, supervises, and issues guidelines to all banks and other financial institutions as specified in the Principal Act. It is therefore justifiable and naturally should be the appropriate authority to require bank employees to declare their assets, and it is the central bank also that should take further steps to verify such declaration, and it is the central bank that may ensure the enforcement of the provision of this act in case of any breach by any employee of any of the banks under its control.
Of the intention of the amendment bill to include all financial institutions under the purview of other regulators for the application of the Act we suggest a change in the title of the Act from Bank Employee Declaration of Asset Act to Financial Institution Employee Declaration of Asset Act. Consequential amendment should be made accordingly, Mr. Chairman.
And propose amendment to Section 1 of the Principal Act, which provides inter alia that an employee shall declare his assets, including assets of his spouse and unmarried children under 18, immediately after assuming duty. Our view is that this amendment should be limited to the assets of the bank employee alone, as it may not be feasible for the employees to make full declarations in relation to his or her spouse's assets for various reasons, such as where he or she is not aware that the spouse has acquired an asset or disposed of an asset.
We do adopt part of the submission made by Central Bank, where it highlighted the area of changing the title of the bill from bank employees to financial institutions employees, ETC Act. We're also seeking for the extension of the application of this bill to cover the designated non-financial institutions, in addition to the financial institutions. This is part of the designated non-financial institutions, those that have been designated. This is one of the submissions we have made. As it relates to the appropriate authority, the EFCC is seeking to be the appropriate authority to receive these declarations.
The bill particularly seeks to amend Section 5, subsection 1 of the Act by substituting the existing words with "The chief executive of every bank shall once in every year, but no later than 7th January, submit to the appropriate authority a list of all employees who joined or left the employment of the bank in the immediate preceding 12 months, expiring on 31st December of the preceding year."
Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari has said that 85 communities and over 2 million people from the state have directly or indirectly benefited from the World Bank Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project, NEWMAP, intervention since the commencement of the program in 2016. Masari said this when the World Bank Country Director, Professor Suban Chaudhry, led the NEWMAP team to Katsina State for a first-hand assessment and inspection of the intervention project in Jibia, Malumfashi, Huntua, and Katsina local government area being executed and funded by the International Development Association. Trust TV reporter Jamil Mabai from Katsina has the details.
And how the state, government, His Excellency the Governor have been able to deliver for you this very important, life-changing project.
Professor Suban Chaudhry, Nigeria's World Bank Country Director, commending Governor Aminu Bello Masari over successful completion of the 40 kilometers drainages in Jibia local government and other benefited local government areas in the state. The project, which is a partnership between Katsina State Government and the World Bank-sponsored Nigerian Erosion and Watershed Management Project, NEWMAP.
We're happy at the World Bank that we have been able to support through the government this important initiative to change your lives, to make your lives safer. I think I was struck by what many of you have said about how, during the rainy season, it's a mixed blessing. But on the one hand, you welcome the arrival of the rains. On the other hand, you used to, stay awake all night, fearful about whether the rains would be too much.
He commended the government for the timely execution of the project. While speaking, Governor Aminu Bello Masari recalled how devastating the destruction of houses, displacement of people caused by flooding in 2018 when he visited the area to ascertain the level of damage.
In terms of physical witness, I have never witnessed a disaster as devastating as what I saw in 2018 here. Because all this land here, you could see, was littered with other dead bodies, or children and women crying. You can see beddings floating. You can see dead animals floating. And people confused didn't know where to go, because the intervention of World Bank in this community and other communities is something that no words can express what you have done to the lives of the communities.
The governor also appealed to the World Bank for intervention in the expansion of Jibe market.
That this is an international market to South Nigeria and Niger Republic. So there is need for developing and expanding of Jibe market.
I'm currently in Tudun Kare here in Jibe local government, Katsina, where over 500 houses and thousands of people were displaced by flooding. Today, bridges like this can be seen all over Jibe local government, which was built in partnership with Nigerian Erosion and Watershed Management Project with the state government.
Community leaders and locals expressed gratitude for a life-changing project. Jamilu Mabai, reporting for Trust TV News, Katsina, Nigeria.
And here in Abuja, Aisha Buhari, wife of the Nigerian president, wants Nigerian journalists to prioritize humanitarian reporting given its global impact on conflict, especially on women and children who are often the worst victims. She made a call during the 32nd anniversary of the Nigeria Association of Women Journalists in Abuja. The anniversary with the theme Leadership with a Difference, Setting the Pace for a Better Future, also launched an endowment fund for the girl child. Aisha Buhari also called on individuals and organizations of goodwill to assist victims of humanitarian crisis. She commended NAWOJ for its support for women in Nigeria, especially as it relates to gender issues.
I'm highly impressed that the NAWOJ has evolved as a formidable vanguard for not only women journalists, but for women in Nigeria and the sentinel for gender issues. I commend the executive of NAWOJ under the leadership of Ladi Bala, the president, for considering me worthy of this award in recognition of my contribution to nation building, especially through my Future Assured program. I congratulate all the awardees as well and call on all people of goodwill to redouble our collective efforts towards extending humanitarian assistance to our growing vulnerable populations. I also use this opportunity to call on Nigerian journalists to prioritize humanitarian reporting in their regular reporting and commentary due to the global impact of conflicts, especially on women and children who are often the worst victims.
NAWOJ, as a professional body, is a strategic tool in addressing gender inequality and advancing the cause of women development by creating awareness and giving visibility to such developmental issues in our society. 32 years down the line, I made bold to say the objectives of establishing NAWOJ are gradually being realized by the increase in the number of women journalists and the quality of responsibility being handled by them. Development issues have not only occupied the front burner, but receiving the required attention and change for the better when compared with years past.
This anniversary is significant as it marks a milestone in redefining the objective of its existence as a woman's voice for those in the noble profession and supporting the progress of gender mainstreaming in the country. I'm also pleased to note that this event is holding on the heels of our historic visit to the National Assembly led by the Mother of the Nation yesterday, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Aisha Buhari, which was fully supported by the President and many of the members. I thank you all, and I thank all the great Nigerian women in this hall that came out in great numbers to register their support for the bill and to make our presence known. That was the highest level of advocacy. And
coming up after the break, how the hunter became the hunted. Stay with us.
Coronavirus disease, COVID-19, is an infectious disease caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus. Most people who fall sick with COVID-19 will experience mild to moderate symptoms and recover without special treatment. However, some will become seriously ill and require medical attention. The virus can spread from an infected person's mouth or nose in small liquid particles when they cough, sneeze, speak, sing, or breathe. These particles range from larger respiratory droplets to smaller aerosols. You can be infected by breathing in the virus if you're near someone who has COVID-19, or by touching a contaminated surface and then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth. The virus spreads more easily indoors and in crowded settings. Maintain a safe distance from others, at least 2 meters, even if they don't appear to be sick. Wear a mask in public, especially indoors or when physical distancing is not possible. Clean your hands often. Use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth with your bent elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Stay home if you feel unwell. Get vaccinated. Properly fitted masks can help prevent the spread of the virus from the person wearing the mask to others. Masks alone do not protect against COVID-19 and should be combined with physical distancing and hand hygiene. Protect yourself and others around you by knowing the facts and taking appropriate precautions. Follow advice provided by your local health authority. This message is brought to you by Trust TV.
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust News Hour. Let's take a look at our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has signed the long-awaited Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2022 into law. Alarming rise in cultism, ritual killing, fraudulent schemes, and get-rich-quick syndrome among young ones, especially students, has been attributed to moral decadence and falling standards of family values. Moving to more news, Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, has asked the federal government to urgently fix the country's refineries before removing subsidies. Tayo Aboyeji, the newly elected chairman of NUPENG Lagos Zonal Council, gave the advice on Thursday in Ibadan after his inauguration into office for a 4-year tenure. According to him, what Nigeria needs is more refineries, either built by the private sector or the government, to refine and sell the product locally. He also said that the current scarcity is as a result of a time lag in returning the bad fuel and bringing in the good product.
So as a result of that, this bad fuel was taken away from the circulation, and in the process you are bringing another one. So the time lag of sending that one away and bring another one causes scarcity. So we condemn it as a union, NUPENG, we condemn it. How could somebody import a substandard or overstandard product to Nigeria? We condemn it, and we want to call the government that those people, those that are responsible for bringing this fuel, should be punished. In fact, we recommend most of them if should be sacked and prosecuted, because Nigeria does not bargain for this kind of a thing. What I could ask government to do is to, as a matter of urgency, fix all the refinery. We don't have to depend on importation of fuel. And as long as we are depending on importation, we have problems of the possibility of the price going up every other time. But the government are subsidizing it. So the regulation is good, but not import-driven regulation. At DB, we have it locally. We can deregulate, but we cannot sell our crude to some people to bring and refine it and bring it back to the, and say what to deregulate. No, that is double jeopardy.
If removal of subsidy is what will better the economy of this country, let it be. But if it is something that will really deepen us into the crisis that's already affecting us, I think we should let it not be. The problem of scarcity has been taken care of for a long time, if not for the fact that what just happened is a thing that no one expected it. So I think the issue of scarcity of petroleum product in this country has long been taken care of. At least there's no how you will have a system that you will not have a little, setback. I think what we just experienced is a little setback, which I think it is not on a daily occurrence.
Even the union are supporting the regulation, but we don't want the regulation under importation. We have refinery in the country. We ask them to concess all these refinery to really business people that they will refurbish this refinery. When they are talking about landing cost, what is the meaning of landing cost? Number one, they are creating job for where we are importing this product. The teeming youth in that country, we are creating job for.
Despite the NNPC's group managing director's promise to end fuel scarcity in 1 week, long queues persist in filling stations around the Federal Capital Territory as residents express frustration waiting for long hours to get fuel. Mardia Umar visits some of the filling stations in Abuja and she reports.
The over 2 weeks long scarcity caused by the withdrawal of the methanol blended premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, imported into Nigeria persisted in Abuja, as some filling stations were closed to customers and some left deserted.
Just when Abuja residents thought it was over, this week it took a different dimension for scarcity of fuel in the Federal Capital Territory as residents are scampering every nook and cranny, every filling station looking for fuel to buy. And this is one of the few filling stations in town that has fuel. Going around Abuja, we saw lots of filling stations down. Some of them didn't even have fuel to sell to their customers. And this has been a situation since the start of the week.
Some Abuja residents who have spent hours on the queue waiting to get fuel expressed sadness over the situation.
I've been on the queue for close to 3 hours, and to be honest, it's not a very good situation. The only thing I would like to say is, for we to go through this stress, it definitely means the hiccups from the top. Somebody is not taking responsibility for his mistakes. Whereby if you bring in fake fuel, in quote, as they call it, are they trying to tell us that they are sitting down and not doing their job? Or are they trying to tell us that they don't have a testing and quality assurance, whatever, before they bring in the fuel into the country? I mean, it's so pathetic. It means somebody is not taking responsibility for his errors.
Seeing, they say, is believing. You can see what we are passing through in getting the fuel. Like yesterday, I was at the total filling station near customs office. I spent about 2 hours. The people locked the gate and I was locked out. Okay, this same morning, that is where I'm coming from. Do you know, I almost entered the gate. The person, fuel attendant, was dragging the filling station gate with me, wanting me to even knock him down with the car. But being an elderly person, I wouldn't want to do that. Do you know, I came down, he locked the gate. Then I went with this car, just this car. I said, my car is in red. Please, just give me this car. Let me use it to move my car. I was talking to a deaf ear. At my age, look at my age. I am almost a senior citizen. Okay. Yet, they couldn't listen to me. I have to drive this car on radio to this place now. And it will only be the grace of God that I can get fuel. It's only by the grace of God. So that is what we are passing through. Yesterday, I had to buy these people walking along. I had to buy 10 liters. You know how much they sell it? Almost 4,000. So, how much is my salary? If I should be buying 4,000.
Speaking on why there's still scarcity of the product, the National Vice President of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Abubakar Gandhi, said petrol remains scarce in major cities for two reasons: refusal of IPMAN members to get supply at high cost and hoarding of product to sell above regulated price to make marginal profit. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The police in Katsina State have arrested 3 members of the outlawed volunteer security, otherwise known as Decay, for killing 2 people few weeks after banning their operations. The group, while carrying out their activities, allegedly abducted one Harisu Abdurazak at Rimaye Market in Kankia local government to a nearby bush. They reportedly killed and dumped him inside an abandoned well. Abla Yamadi reports.
The outlawed Decay also abducted and killed a 55-year-old Alhaji Magad Yusuf at his residence in Makurdi village of Bakori local government area. Those arrested in connection with the 2 separate abductions and killings are Muhammad Abdullahi, Haruna Sani and Bishir Muazu alias Kaura, all belonging to the outlawed Decay groups. The police command in Katsina has also arrested a 35-year-old Hajia Fatima Alhaji Bami, an informer and a notorious supplier of dangerous charms to terrorists. The suspect, Hajia Fatima, who was alleged to have been providing information and charms to terrorists in carrying out their nefarious acts, also confessed to be a close associate of a notorious bandit leader, one Sani Mohidingi, who is on security's wanted list.
Succeeded in arresting one Hajia Fatima Alhaji Bami. She's about 45 years of Daha Forest, Musa local government area. What she does, she's specialized in giving criminal charms to terrorists in the forest. But according to the investigation that we are making, this particular woman was the one that gave criminal charms to a notorious suspected terrorist, Sani Mohindinge.
Fatima Bami also told the police that her clients specialized in terrorizing communities in the Musa local government area and other neighboring villages.
So, Anche kike bawa Sani Mohindinge asiri.
Well, I don't provide charms to bandits. All I do and all I know is that sometimes I assist them spiritually. I have some spiritual powers, and of course I used to assist them when they are sick, only when they are sick, but I don't give them charms to go and terrorize people, or there are charms that will assist them in carrying out their nefarious activities. I don't do that. Honestly, I don't do that. Other suspects arrested by the police include Shamsuddin Tahiru, Bala Inwa alias Kurkur, and Jamil Isa, suspected to be members of a notorious bandits group. The 3 suspects specialized in providing information, conspiring with terrorists to attack villages and kidnap people for ransom. In the course of investigation, a Golf 3 vehicle, AK-47 rifle and ammunition were recovered from the suspects, who confessed to have participated in various cases of kidnappings and cattle rustling.
That vehicle, the white Golf, was recovered, and as well, one AK-47 rifle with several rounds of ammunition were also recovered while the terrorists escaped. And as I promise you that in the course of our investigation, we are going to trace and arrest the owner and also the perpetrators of that dastardly terrorist activities.
The Katsina State Commissioner of Police, who was represented at the briefing by the Police Public Relations Officer SP Gambo Isa, told journalists that a combined team of military, vigilante and the police have succeeded in recovering 149 cows, 33 sheep at Shemi, which were believed to have been rustled from Kurami village of Bakwari local government in Katsina State. Though no arrest was made, it was gathered that the bandits escaped with gunshot wounds while investigation is ongoing. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
President Muhammadu Buhari has commended the Bua Group for its strides in narrowing the gap between demand and supply of cement in the country. The president gave the commendation Friday at the State House, Abuja, while receiving a delegation from Bua Group led by the chairman, Abdul Samad Rabiu, on a thank-you visit. President Buhari had last month visited Sokoto to commission the Line 4 of Bua Cement, which would ensure further availability of cement, of which Nigeria suffers about 3 million tons deficit.
And I congratulate you for proving to us Nigerians that it's not only Dogon Turanchi that matters. Yes, there is one productive angle which God has given to all Nigerians. So I thank you very much for coming. I'm very pleased with this visit. I thank you very much. I wish you much more success. And I'm pleased that you have employed people across Nigeria.
Your remarks during the event also struck true, relating to the urgent need to make certain commodities produced in Nigeria accessible, affordable, and available for all, and our responsibility as a major industrial company in spurring development across key sectors, including housing, construction, and infrastructure, which are key pillars of your administration and are important for economic development and national security. Your Excellency, sir, you have said on many occasions that for us to develop as a country, we need to add value to what we produce within the country. We want to assure you, sir, of our continued support towards your programs for the growth and development of the Nigerian economy.
Now on the foreign scene, Ukraine has appealed to Turkey to block Russian warships from passing through the Dardanelles and Bosphorus Straits, which lead to the Black Sea, after Moscow on Thursday launched a full-blown assault on Ukraine from land, air, and sea. The Turkish Foreign Minister, Mevlut Cavusoglu, has said Turkey cannot stop Russian warships accessing the Black Sea via its straits, as Ukraine has requested, due to a clause in an international pact. Speaking in Kazakhstan on Thursday, the minister said Turkey is studying Kyiv's request, but said Russia had a right under the convention to return ships to their home base, in this case, the Black Sea. Turkey says it has control over the straits under the 1936 Montreux Convention and can limit the passage of warships during wartime or if threatened. However, the request has put the NATO member in a difficult position as it tries to manage its Western commitments and close ties with Russia. And in sports, Union of European Football Associations, Uefa, on Friday stripped the 2021 and 2022 UEFA Men's Champions League final hosting right from Russia. This followed the extraordinary meeting of UEFA Executive Committee held in reaction to the escalation of the security situation in Europe, which has Russia invading Ukraine. The final, earlier scheduled for St. Petersburg, will now be played at the Stade de France in France on Saturday, May 28, 2022. Uefa said in a statement on its website. The Uefa Executive Committee said it is determined to remain on standby to convene further extraordinary meeting on a regular ongoing basis where required to reassess the legal and factual situation as it evolves and adopt further decisions as necessary. And we have come to the end of the Trust TV News Hour. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Diron Onifade. Thanks for joining us.